And a very pleasant good morning to you. We're almost at the end of the morning time here on this Sunday, the very first day of May in 2022. I'm Jerry Koala, Sharon J. Drysdale Field on the campus of the University of Northwestern in Evanston, Illinois. It's game number 3 of the 3-game series between the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Northwestern Wildcats. Northwestern has claimed the first 2 games in the series, winning 9-5 on Friday. It was a 3-1 lead for them at the end of the first inning. Denali Leckert hit a solo home run for the Hawks. Northwestern would add a run in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, and 3 in the 6th, and take the 9-, well, by then it was 9-4 because the Hawks had tied it up at 4-4 in the top of the 5th inning. Northwestern with 2 in the bottom of the 5th, 3 in the bottom of the 6th. Iowa would get a run in the top of the 7th and end up losing the game by the score of 9-5. Iowa left 10 runners on base in that game. Certainly much to the dismay of the coaching staff. Got to learn how to get those runners across. Even a few more certainly would have helped out in this game. Denali Leckert took the loss in the game. She now at 10-8. 6 innings pitched, gave up 14 hits, 9 runs. All were earned, walked 6, struck out 3. Danielle Williams, who will be pitching today, went 5 in the 3rd innings for Northwestern. She gave up 5 hits, 4 runs. 1 of them was earned. She had 4 walks and 5 strikeouts. In yesterday's game, Northwestern shut out the Hawkeyes 4-0. They scored 2 in the bottom of the 1st inning. And then it was a 2-0 game all the way to the bottom of the 5th when Northwestern would score a run, and they would score 1 more run in the bottom of the 6th inning, take the game at 4-0. Iowa was held to 4 hits in the game. Sydney Supple in the circle for Northwestern, a 7-inning gem with 4 hits. She walked 5 batters, struck out 3. And Brianna Vasquez will take the loss for the Hawks in yesterday's game. She's now at 6-13. She went 6 innings, gave up 7 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them earned. 3 walks and 3 strikeouts as well. So we'll see what happens with this 3rd game coming up. Very vital for the Hawkeyes that come in with a 19-28 record and 2-17 in the Big Ten. But Iowa in last place in the Big Ten standings at 2-17. They desperately need a win today, and then they have to sweep Purdue next weekend to give themselves any chance at all of making the Big Ten Conference Tournament. Purdue is one of those teams that is vying for that number 12 spot, as is Michigan State and Rutgers. 2 of those teams will not make the Big Ten Tournament out of those 4, Purdue, Michigan State, Rutgers, Iowa. And it's kind of ironic that Michigan State will be at Rutgers next weekend to take on the Scarlet Knights. So the last 4 teams all vying for that number 12 spot. Iowa will be hosting Purdue next weekend. That has a 4-14 record going into its finale today as Purdue is hosting the Rutgers Knights. Rutgers defeated Purdue 4-1 on Friday. They didn't play yesterday. They're going to play a doubleheader here today. So things still looking pretty bright for this Iowa Hawkeye team. It's interesting that even though that they haven't scored a lot of runs, they left 8 runners on base in yesterday's game. That's 18 on the weekend that Iowa has left on base, but they are prone, they are ready to go with this game number 3. A very enthusiastic bunch of young ladies on this softball team. Lots of freshmen, sophomores as well. Got some senior pitching in Brianna Vasquez, but also some young pitching. We haven't seen Devin Greer yet. We haven't seen. We have seen earlier this week. We have seen the pitcher from California in Catherine Cerna. Vasquez, of course, as I talked about. Devin Greer, the freshman also from California. So it's a matter of Iowa just putting it all together. Slowly but surely are doing so in these games, but just not enough to win these games. Iowa comes in having lost 4 in a row now. They lost the 3rd game to Illinois last weekend, 5-4. They lost to Iowa State Wednesday, and then they've lost the first 2 here in this series with the Northwestern Wildcats, as I'd mentioned, 9-5 on Friday, and 4-0 yesterday. Iowa, the last time the Hawkeyes were shut out was against the number 1 ranked and defending champion Oklahoma Sooners back on the 20th of March. That the score of 20-0 in 5 innings. Although Iowa has issued a couple of shutouts themselves, they defeated University of Missouri Kansas City 4-0 on March 15. They shut out Memphis back on March 4th, 8-0. Iowa also was shut out by Notre Dame 2-0. So they've got some shutouts in their win column, and they've been shut out a couple of times on the season. But it had been a long time since they've been shut out, and that was since the Oklahoma game back on March 20. We're set for action here today in this game number 3 as we move into the second to last weekend of the Big Ten regular season schedule. The Hawks will go with Briley Klosterman to lead it off. Nia Carter will be playing right field and batting second. Sophomore Denali Lecker will be in the circle today. She's batting third. Kalenna Burns playing first base, batting fourth. Sophia Morris, the junior, is shortstop, batting fifth. Sammy Diaz batting sixth, playing second base. Grace Baines batting seventh, playing third base. Tristan Doster will be behind the plate today, the freshman, batting eighth. And Rodney Moss, the freshman, will be out in left field as the Hawks will battle against Danielle Williams today. They did it Friday, game number 1 against Danielle Williams. Got a solo home run out of Denali Lecker in the very first inning, the top of the first inning in that game to take the 1-0 lead. And then Northwestern would come back and score 3 of its own to help Danielle Williams path out a little bit on this Northwestern softball team. Iowa would come back and tie the score later in that game against Danielle Williams and got her a little bit rattled in that game. She walked 4 batters. Hawks had runners on base, and again, they had 10 runners on base to begin with, left on base throughout that game. Briley Klosterman down in the count at 0 balls and 2 strikes, and on the 0-2 pitch, she hits one right to first base where Nikki Kukrin will pick it up and step on first base as she had it right there, right outside of first base, and she had to take a stride. So it's 1 down in Iowa's top of the first inning. It brings up Nia Carter. Nia Carter is 0 for the weekend. First pitch, she has a line 1 hopper to third base to Hannah Cady. Cady gobbles it up onto first base, and quickly the Hawks are 2 outs here in the top of the first inning. Denali Lecker will be at the plate now for the Hawks. Northwestern, again, has Danielle Williams in the circle. She comes in with a record of 23-2 on the season. This will be her 23rd start, 23rd start in 36th appearance. She's thrown 17 complete games and has thrown 170 and a third pitches after Friday's game. She has a 1.32 ERA, given up 89 hits, 44 runs, 32 of them earned, has walked 51 and struck out 253. That's a Danielle Williams, preseason All-American pick, and she's a 2-time All-Big Ten first-teamer facing Denali Lecker. Lecker comes into the game 2 for 6 in the series, a run scored. It was on the home run she hit in Friday's game. The Hawks were shut out yesterday 4-0. Here is the 1-1 tour that's down and in. Danielle Williams having to be a little bit careful with Denali Lecker. Lecker with that good, strong stroke through the strike zone. She's got some good power behind that bat. And she has shown that how she can connect with pitches, hitting home runs. She has hit, and here's the 2-1 now, 3 balls and 1 strike. Her last 5 home runs of the 10 that she has have all come since the Ohio State series. 5 home runs in 10 games, so she is collecting some good power hitting. Here she takes a pitch on the inside part of the plate and singles between short and third, and Denali Lecker is on at first with a 2-out single. That'll bring up that'll bring up Kalenna Burns. Kalenna Burns, a junior from Corona, California, had 2 hits in yesterday's game. She's been on base 6 times in her 3 official at-bats. You're wondering how that happened? Well, she got hit by 2 pitches on Friday against Danielle Williams. She walked once Friday, and she walked once yesterday. So that's 4 times without an official at bat, and then she has had 2 hits, both of them coming yesterday. She's down on the count at no balls and a strike to Danielle Williams. Here's the 0-1 as she gets a good cut at and misses. Williams throwing it away and a hard pitch. So on the weekend, Kalenna Burns just 2 for 3. Those 2 hits came yesterday. She's walked, as I said, 2 times and was hit by a pitch 2 different times. Here is the 0-2, an off-speed pitch that she swings at and misses. That the first strikeout of the game for Danielle Williams. The Hawks will leave 1 at first base. Denali Lecker just singling, and we're through a half inning. It's Northwestern and Iowa scoreless as we head to the bottom of the first inning. This is Iowa Hawkeye softball on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel from Learfield.
Anything can happen when the Cyclones and Hawkeyes come to compete. It's where the rubber meets the road. Neighbors become rivals and friends become foes. Some go home broken-hearted, while others are victorious. When the dust finally settles, one thing stands true. No matter which side you're on, you're part of tradition. For those who are Iowan through and through, we're Iowa Corn, a proud sponsor of the Iowa Corn Cy-Hawk Series. In Iowa, we grow corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa.
Well, if you haven't heard, the Iowa State Cyclones have won the Iowa Corn Cy-Hawk Series for the 2021-22 academic year. 14 points to Iowa's 11, winning the softball game earlier this week on Wednesday by the score of 5-4 to claim 2 more points. They had a 12-11 lead going into it, so the winner of that game was going to claim the Iowa Corn Cy-Hawk Series for this academic year, and it goes to Iowa State. But we certainly appreciate the competition, and I think even the marketing departments of both Iowa and Iowa State deserve, a tip of the fedora to them for their creating this 17 years ago. Promotion of corn being grown in the state of Iowa. It's the biggest economic part of Iowa's business sector, and the Cyclones and the Hawkeyes marketing departments work together very well to create this environment of the Iowa Corn Cy-Hawk Series. Denali Lecker in the circle for the Hawks. She comes in making her 14th start and her 36th appearance. She's thrown 124 in a third innings. Taking a look at Skylar Shellmeyer to begin. Shellmeyer looks to bunt, pulls it back, and it's ball 1 on the outside. 124 in a third innings pitched for Denali Lecker on the season. She's given up 142 hits, 104 runs, 80 of them earned. She has a 4.50 ERA. She's walked 41, struck out 66 on the season. And just a sophomore from Ogden, so she has really elevated her gameplay this year alone. Here's Shellmeyer, rocket hopper to Grace Baines at third base. Now Shellmeyer, the slapper that she is, had a pitch where she wanted it and could not hit a line drive out into the left field. She has a grounder that right at Baines. Baines was playing down the third base line a couple of strides, so she had to have a really quick glove on this. Had to glove it and throw it immediately to Kalenna Burns, and does so. That'll bring up Rachel Lewis, the graduate senior. Of course, she's been at Northwestern her entire career. Rachel, with 62 home runs in her career, has 20 of them this year, leads the Big Ten. She's got a .364 batting average, batting number 2 in the lineup. On the weekend, she's 2 for 5. Here is the 1-0 to her that she'll bounce foul in the backstop. Rachel has scored 4 runs. She's driven in 3, 2 of them on a 2-run home run back in game number 1 in that very first inning. She's also walked 3 times and struck out once, but 2-time All-Big Ten performer for the Northwestern Wildcats. Here's the 1-1 to her that's upstairs, so it's 2 balls and 1 strike. She hit that home run off of Lecker on Friday, chasing home Skylar Shellmeyer in front of her. And then Northwestern would get another home run from Maeve Nelson later on in that inning. 2 batters later, as a matter of fact. Here's the 2-1, now becomes 3 balls and 1 strike. So in that Friday game, Iowa scored first in the top of the first inning. Denali Lecker with that solo home run to give the Hawks to 1-0 lead, but Northwestern comes right back in the bottom of the first and scores 3 of its own. 2-run home run from Rachel Lewis, the current batter, and Maeve Nelson also with a solo home run. 3-1 count. Here's the pitch from Denali Lecker to Rachel Lewis, a pitch that a drop ball that goes off the plate, and so Rachel Lewis will draw a one-out walk. And for Rachel on the season, it's the 32nd time that she has walked at the plate. And it brings up Jordan Rudd. Rudd 1 for 6 on the series, 0 for 2 yesterday with a walk. Jordan Rudd, a senior catcher, batting .362 with a runner teammate at first base. Here's the pitch from Denali Lecker. It's a pitch that's kind of off speed, and Rudd just takes a real light swing at it to distract the catcher a little bit as Rachel Lewis swipes second base. And as I had talked about earlier, and not in this broadcast, but yesterday, Rachel 19 of 22 in the stolen bases department, now 20 of 23. And a year ago, she led the Big Ten in stolen bases with 30 steals in 32 attempts. And now she has stolen third base as well. So Rachel Lewis has gone from first to second to third via a stolen base in both of those situations. Now she is 21 of 23 stolen bases on the season. She at third base, 1 out. Jordan Rudd at the plate. Here's the pitch from Denali Lecker. Popped up into the air. Nice hustle by Tristan Doster to chase it back towards the Northwestern dugout. She catches it with her momentum going forward and then bounces off of the wall there, but it's a very heavily padded wall. So Tristan Doster, knowing how important that out is in this bottom of the first inning, makes it out number 2. But it does bring up Maeve Nelson. Nelson able to hit the ball nicely for the Northwestern Wildcats. Nelson on the weekend is 2 for 5. She hit the solo home run Friday. She scored 2 runs and has 2 runs batted in. Here's the first pitch to her that's down and away. Batting .256 on the season. Maeve Nelson was on the all-freshman team in 2019 and a second-team All-Big Ten performer that same season. Ahead of the count at 1 ball and no strikes. Here's the pitch from Denali Lecker. Off speed, called strike 1, right on that outside corner. So 1 ball and 1 strike. In Friday's game, Denali went the distance. She went 6 innings. You would think if by giving up 14 hits that at some point in that 4th or 5th inning that head coach Renee Gillespie would have taken her out, and Coach Gillespie said yesterday that she had contemplated it, but had enough trust and confidence in Denali to let her pitch through it, which she did, although Iowa ended up losing 9-5. It does give Denali the confidence in herself that she can go 7 innings, give up as many hits as she did, and the amount of runs, 9 of them, and they all were earned. 2-1 count now on Maeve Nelson. Nelson, the senior, again batting .256, 32 hits, 125 at bats. Here's one that she bounces right back to Denali Lecker, and she gloves it and on to first for the out. And that will end the Northwestern Wildcats here in the bottom of the first inning. And this will be the first time this weekend that Northwestern has not scored in their first at-bat of the game. We're scoreless. We head into the top of the second inning. The Iowa Hawkeyes and the Northwestern Wildcats are scoreless. Sophia Morris will kick it off for the Hawks when play resumes. This is Iowa Hawkeye Softball on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel from Learfield.
Looking for a place to go before and after Hawkeye home games? Make a night of it at Graduate Iowa City Hotel. Take advantage of our in-house Topgolf Swing Suite for a full bar and a menu of American classics, and most importantly, a selection of exciting virtual games from favorites like golf, football, and baseball to more unique options like zombie dodgeball. Call 319-337-4058 for details and reservations at Graduate Iowa City Hotel.
Iowa City Tire and Service is a proud supporter of Hawkeye Softball. Find them at 410 Kirkwood Avenue or online at ictire.com. Iowa City Tire, where service actually comes first. Thanks to Andy Miller for his few minutes given to me on Friday. Doing an interview with him as Iowa City Tire will be sponsoring the Iowa softball game, the radio game on KXIC next Sunday as they host the Purdue Boilermakers. Iowa City Tire, a long-time business in the Iowa City community and an even longer supporter of University of Iowa Hawkeye athletics, and especially on the women's side. He talks about that. You'll be able to hear that interview in its entirety next Sunday. We head into the top of the second inning. Sophia Morris at the plate for the Hawks. Left-handed hitting junior out of Johnson. Here she'll check swing one fouled on the third base line. She's had a hit in each of the games this weekend. Single yesterday and a single on Friday. She scored a one on Friday. She's got a 3-game hitting streak going, as she also had a base hit in the Iowa State game. That was an RBI. Here is the 0-1 that Danielle Williams, a nice drop ball that fools Sophia Morris. Morris, the reigning National Junior College Player of the Year last year out of Des Moines Area Community College. Here's the 0-2 from Danielle Williams, and it's a pitch that's off the plate. In that great season she had a year ago, that Player of the Year, she led the nation in runs with 105, hits with 117, home runs 29, RBIs 92, total bases at 234, and walks with 44. And on this 0-2 pitch, an off-speed break-in pitch down and away fools Sophia Morris and strikes her out. That is the second strikeout of the day for Danielle Williams. And as I talked about, Williams with 253 strikeouts on the season, now up to 255. Sammy Diaz steps to the right-handed batter's box. The sophomore from Cypress, California. 0 for 3 yesterday, had a hit in Friday's game and also walked in Friday's game. Down on the count now at no balls and 1 strike. Here's the pitch from Danielle Williams. Left-hander comes in hard from the left side. She's a senior from Pleasanton, California, which is just outside of San Francisco in the Bay Area. Here's the 1-1 to Sammy Diaz, one that's up and in on her. Just nearly hits her. Sammy on the season, when she's played, has been at second base, and she's really been playing quite a lot lately. Didn't play in the Iowa State game on Wednesday, but has started here in both of these games this weekend. Here is the 2-1 that she rips down the third base line, the left field line, and foul. Again, the Hawks getting around on a lot of these pitches a little bit early, and so they're fouling the hard ones that are going long. So they can just hang right in there and pick the best pitch, the next pitch, and keep it fair and string together some hits. Might be able to have some great at-bats. Here is the 2-2 that's off the plate, 3 balls and 2 strikes. A year ago, Sammy started 26 of the 33 games she played. Hawks were 26-18 last year. She batted .222 with 14 hits and 63 at-bats. Full count now on Sammy. Here's the pitch right on that outside corner and spotted nicely by Danielle Williams. That's the third strikeout of the game for Danielle, the 2 of them here in this second inning. And that'll bring up Grace Baines. Baines, the right-handed hitting third baseman from Kansas City, Kansas. Had started at shortstop for almost the entire year, all the way up until the Ohio State series. Here is the first pitch to her. It's off speed. It's called strike 1. She had started at shortstop almost all of last year, except for the first 6 games when she started at second base to start that Big Ten schedule last year. Then she moved to shortstop and really had a good defensive year last year. I remember her making lots of excellent plays in the field, backhands, lateral movement, left and right. The count even at 1 ball and 1 strike. Here's the pitch from Danielle Williams that's just off the plate, 2 balls and 1 strike. 2-time first-team All-Stater out of the state of Kansas. She being from Kansas City, Kansas, which is northwest of the proper area of Kansas, Kansas City, that is, just off Interstate 435. Here's Grace getting around on a pitch and fouling it back. Her father, Chuck, played baseball at Nebraska Kearney in his collegiate years. She a human physiology major at the University of Iowa. Count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes on Grace Baines. Just a sophomore playing third base. Here is the 2-2 that's off the plate. 3 balls and 2 strikes. We're at 2 outs here in the top of the second inning. Scoreless between Iowa and 8th-ranked Northwestern. Northwestern leading the Big Ten with its 17-2 record as a 3-game lead over second-place Nebraska. Here's the 3-2, and it's down and in. Ball 4. Grace Baines will get a 2-out walk from Danielle Williams, and for Williams, it is the 52nd base on balls that she has allowed. It does give the Hawks a runner at first. Hopefully they can make a decent inning out of this, as Tristan Doster, the freshman catcher, will step to the batter's box. You know, last year, Baines was 0 for 2 against Danielle Williams in the first game that they played against her. Here's the first pitch that Tristan hits it right up the middle, and it's a base hit. So the walk, and now a single by Tristan Doster. Doster, a 267 hitter, with now her 25th hit in 91 at-bats. And we have runners at first and second, and we're near the bottom of the order. It is the number 9 hitter, and Riley Moss, another freshman. Moss, a freshman left fielder from Muscatine, started in left field on Friday. Here's a slap swing that she misses and has a strike on her. But she did bat 3 times, got a base hit in that game on Friday. She stole a base. She also struck out in the game. She's been primarily used as a pinch runner this year, but here at the later stages of the season, it's starting to come on strong in practice. Here's the 0-1 to her that's off the plate, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. On the freshman, Riley Moss, a 2-time All-Stater out of Muscatine in the large class system. Just shy of 100 stolen bases in her high school career. Here is a slap hit, a drop ball, a nice pitch by Danielle Williams. Moss trying to run in that batter's box and place it, trying to hit the ball, and is down on the count at a ball and 2 strikes. Runners at first and second, 2 outs. Here's the pitch from Williams to Moss. Bouncer right back to Danielle Williams. She bobbled it, but able to regain it and underhand it across to first base. And that will end the Hawkeyes here in the top of the second inning. Iowa gets 2 more on, unable to move them forward. We're still scoreless between Iowa and Northwestern. This is Iowa Hawkeye softball on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel in Learfield.
In Iowa, we grow corn, a lot of corn. We love seeing our farmers in the fields, and although they're perfect strangers, we know them. We know them by their equipment covered in dust. We know them by their work ethic, where days off don't exist. We know them by the way they wave, passing strangers alike on a 2-lane road. We know them in the midst of our kitchen as we prepare another family meal. In Iowa, we grow corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa. The Iowa corn farmers are proud to be on the sidelines for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
University of Iowa Sports Medicine delivers comprehensive care for competitive and recreational athletes of all ages. Our team of orthopedic surgeons, physicians, and specialists are committed to reducing pain and injury through our advanced training and experience. Same-day, next-day appointments available, no referral needed. Learn more by visiting uihc.org/sports medicine. Heading into the bottom of the second inning, Nia Carter will be at the plate for Northwestern. Nia on the weekend, 2 for 7 with a double. Those 2 hits came in yesterday's game. She has 1 RBI and has struck out 2 times. Against Denali Lecker on Friday, she struck out and got on a fielder's choice. Here's the first pitch from Denali Lecker to Nia Carter, and it's a pitch right down the middle and strike 1. Good crowd on hand here at Sharon J. Drysdale softball field in between the football practice field and Welsh Ryan Arena. The 0-1 now becomes 1 ball and 1 strike with a hard one coming in from Denali Lecker. Temperature at 52 degrees, but the winds are quite brisk at 15 to 25. out of the south west. Here is the 1-1 to Cochran. She'll hit it up into the air out to left field, and moving from center field to left center field is Briley Klosterman to make the catch and the first out of the bottom of the second inning. But in the city where Northwestern is, in Evanston in northern Chicago, they're closer to the Lake of Michigan, so they get more wind and precipitation effects from the lake than they do from just ordinary normal weather movements. So, and they're kind of blocked in by buildings all around them. So even a 20-mile-an-hour wind can seem like a little bit lighter. Here is the first pitch to Angela Zedek, who bounces one to Grace Baines, and Baines scoops and throws across the diamond to Kalenna Burns. We've got 2 gone here in Northwestern's bottom of the second inning. That'll bring up Hannah Cady. Cady, a sophomore, playing third base. Cady hitting .290 on the season, 4 for 4 this weekend. She scored a couple of runs, has a couple of RBIs, and has hit a home run. Here is the first pitch to her. The left-handed hitting Cady is down and away by Denali Lecker. So 1 ball and no strikes for Hannah Cady. Here is the 1-0 from Denali Lecker. And it's down the middle in a high hopper right to Sophia Morris. Does a great job to play it off of the ground. And then as she threw it across the diamond to Kalenna Burns, she threw it low and it bounced. Kalenna trying to scoop it, cannot do so. And Hannah Cady will be on due to an error. We'll see if it's an error on the throw or on Kalenna Burns, but I would think it was on the throw from Sophia Morris. They're going to give her a hit? No way. There's no way that that's a base hit because they had her thrown out. Here is the first pitch to the next batter, Lauren Caldron. Caldron making so the 0-1 now becomes 1 ball and 1 strike. Lauren Caldron is a senior. She's the designated player today, batting .182. This is just her 8th start. Well, let's get that right. Caldron, this is her 8th start in 16 appearances. Here's the 1-1 from Denali Lecker, the runner on first base, and she'll ground one, just dribbled it right back to Denali Lecker in the circle, who turns and fires to Kalenna Burns at first base, and that will end the Northwestern Wildcats in the bottom of the second inning. We're scoreless heading into the top of the second. It'll be the top of the order for the Iowa Hawkeyes when play resumes. This is Iowa Hawkeye Softball on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel from Learfield.
Hi, Hawkeye fans. My name is Denali.
And I'm Briley. And we're members of your Iowa Hawkeye softball team.
Our team is striving to be number 1.
And that's why we trust our vehicles to Iowa City Tire and Service, the #1 automotive shop in Iowa City.
Where service actually comes first.
Iowa City Tire and Service, where their customers become friends because they treat you like family. Find them at 410 Kirkwood Avenue or online at ictire.com. Proud sponsors of Hawkeye Softball.
Home of the Hawkeyes, Finkbine Golf Course in Bump's Restaurant is open for the 2022 golf season, featuring 18 holes of fine public golf at Finkbine, as well as handcrafted American fare. Stop by today to enjoy quality golf and food, delicious food at Bump's Restaurant. So with the weather starting to get a little bit nicer here as we get into May, that golf course is going to be sprouting nicely, nice green grass across there with the trees being filled up with the leaves and all. And the grounds crew does an excellent job of keeping that thing well-shaped season long. So get on out to Finkbine Golf Course and take on the challenge of what Finkbine can offer for you as a golfer. And then when you're done, it's on to Bump's Restaurant for a delicious meal to finish. Briley Klosterman, she grounded out to first base in her first attempt of the day, just 1 of 6 on the weekend. Had a hit in Friday's game, scored one of the 5 runs Iowa had. Here's the first pitch from Danielle Williams is off the plate. Hawks getting a good look at Danielle Williams, though, an All-American. Last year, Klosterman was 0 for 3 against her, against Danielle Williams. In the first game of the 4-game series, now she's ahead in the count at 2 balls and no strikes. Danielle Williams, she got a base hit off her in game number 3, as Williams pitched in the first 3 games of last year, going the full distance in game number 1, throwing 2 innings in game number 2. Here's the 2-0. That's inside, 3 balls and no strikes. So she had what you would add up to be about 14 2/3 innings of the 4-game series. She did pitch 5 2/3 in game 3 last year, giving up the 6 hits. Northwestern still won that game 7-4. Here's the 3-0. It's ball 4 on that outside part of the plate. So Briley Klosterman will draw a walk to start the top of the 3rd inning for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Klosterman, that being her 29th walk on the season. And it brings up Nia Carter. Nia 0 for now 7 in the series. Nia batting a .390 batting average, 57 hits, 147 at-bats, and she tries to lay down a bunt to move Briley Klosterman on to second, and the bunt goes foul. Nia Carter having really quite a season. Can't expect her to bat over 400 the entire year, but she's been above 400 for a good share of this season. Just almost recently this week, she has dipped below 400, but I think a .390 batting average is still something to be proud of, no question about it. 3 doubles and 3 triples to her credit. Here's the 0-1 that she turns bunts down the first base line, and it'll again go foul. That'd be what would be considered a drag bunt in baseball. The left-hander who would, at the last moment, drop the bat down into a bunt formation, a bunt stance, if you will, or method, and bunt it foul. And that's what Nia does here, and it goes foul down the first base line. So she has an 0-2 count on her. Here is the 0-2. She swings at and misses. So she's down on strikes. That is the 4th strikeout of the game for Danielle Williams. That's the first out of the top of the 3rd inning. That'll bring up Denali Lecker, the number 3 hitter in the lineup. She singled in her first at-bat today, was stranded at first base in that top of the 1st inning. So Denali on the weekend is 3 for 7 with a run scored. Home run part of those 3 hits. Got a teammate at first and Briley Klosterman. Here's the first pitch to her. An off-speed pitch that Denali gets out in front of, and she swings at and misses. Denali with a .292 batting average coming into this at-bat. Down in the count at no balls and 1 strike. Here is the 0-1 that's off the plate. So it's 1 ball and 1 strike. From the senior Danielle Williams. Williams, 2019 National Fast Pitch Coaches Association Freshman of the Year nationally, and a first-team All-Big Ten performer as well as the All-Freshman team. Here's the 1-1 to Denali Lecker, an off-speed pitch that freezes her at the plate, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. And she knew it, too. You can see the big smile from Denali from behind that face mask on that pitch that just keeps her from taking that swing, and she knew it was a strike right across the middle of that plate. Danielle Williams with quite a repertoire of pitches, and now here's an off-speed pitch, and she's on her pitches today is Williams as she gets another strikeout. That's the 5th one of the day, and it's the 2nd out of the top of the 3rd inning. That'll bring up Kalenna Burns. She wasn't so much in control of that on Friday, although she showed a lot of signs of it, because Iowa got 4 walks and a number of hits on her. So Kalenna Burns at the plate. Kalenna struck out in her first at-bat. Here is the first pitch to Kalenna that's down and in on her, so it's ball 1. So they're going to change what was given a single to Hannah Cady back in the bottom of the second inning to an error. They're going to call the error on Kalenna Burns. I don't understand that. That ball bounced off Burns' right. It wasn't a very good throw. So Kalenna now down in the count at no balls and 2 strikes to Danielle Williams. Here is the 0-2 that's inside and heading down to second base with a steal attempt is Brodie Klosterman. But from the catcher's stance, what a throw from Jordan Rudd to pick off Brodie Klosterman on her way to second base to end the Iowa Hawkeyes in the top of the third inning. Kalenna Burns will be back at the plate when the Hawks come to bat in the top of the fourth inning, but we've got to get through the bottom of the third first, and it'll be the number 9 hitter, Grace Nito, coming up to plate for Northwestern when they resume play. It's scoreless here in the after 2.5 innings of play between Iowa and Northwestern. This is Iowa Hawkeye softball on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel from Learfield.
There's a sense of pride that comes from the life of a farmer. How many people can say they have a famous tan named after them, or be known for their wave when they drive past neighbors and strangers alike on a 2-lane road? Whether it's a farmer's tan or the farmer's wave, we are proud to be known for a lot of things. We feel that pride every night at the dinner table, knowing we feed our family and yours. Iowa Corn is proud to be on the sidelines cheering on the Iowa Hawkeyes. In Iowa, we grow corn, but the truth is corn grows Iowa.
And it sure does. We thank those farmers from around the state of Iowa. Try to be patient here as we get into the springtime weather with the moisture still falling from the sky. And even it's going to take, must be a good week to dry things out for the farmers to be able to get out in the fields and get their crops planted for the 2022 year. We certainly are thinking about all of them as they are preparing as best they can and being as patient as they possibly can so they can get out into the fields. We head into the bottom of the third inning, and it'll be Grace Nito stepping to the left-handed batter's box for Northwestern. She squares to bunt, pulls back, and it's ball 1. Nito on the weekend is 4 for 6 with an RBI and a stolen base. She was 1 for 3 yesterday and 3 for 3 on Friday with a run batted in. She's ahead in the count now, 1 ball and no strikes. Looking at pitcher Denali Lecker, the sophomore for the University of Iowa. Here's a very high hopper that Lecker has to wait for to come down, and by the time she even caught it, Nito had crossed first base, so there was no chance for a play at first. As this ball hit right off of the just in front of the plate, and it skied to the point where Denali Lecker could only wait for it to come down and just grab it. So Nito having quite a weekend from the number 9 hitting spot for the Northwestern Wildcats. Top of the order, Skylar Shellmeyer. She grounded out to Grace Baines in her first at bat at third base. And on the steal attempt, it's Grace Nito getting to second base. The throw from Tristan Doster was a little bit late. The tag, though, by Sophia Morris was high on the body of Nito. So I think that's really what it was, a very close play, although she was safe at second on the stolen base. And for Grace Nito, that's her 5th stolen base in 6 attempts. That's 3 here today in this game alone. Here's the 1-0 to Skylar Shellmeyer, and she looks at a pitch that's up and away. Shellmeyer on the weekend, 2 for 7. She has scored a couple of runs, has a double to her credit. The leadoff hitter hitting .353 coming into the game. Ahead of the count at 2 balls and no strikes. Runner at second base, nobody out in Northwestern's bottom of the third inning. Top of the order in Skylar Shellmeyer. Here is the 2-0, and it's a drop pitch that falls down and in. So 3 balls and no strikes on the senior center fielder, Skylar Shellmeyer from Urbandale, just outside of Des Moines. Here comes the 3-0 from Denali Lecker. I'm assuming that Shellmeyer will take this pitch, and it's called strike 1. Hits that outside corner, so it's 3 balls and 1 strike. Schellmeyer was the first-team All-Big Ten performer last year. Her first career home run came against Indiana just this year. Here is the 3-1 that she bounces foul, picked up there by Tristan Doster. So Skylar Schellmeyer will return to the left-handed batter's box. With a count of 3 balls and 2 strikes on her. Runner at second base. We're scoreless. It's the bottom of the third inning. Northwestern at the plate. Here is the pitch from Denali Lecker, one that's upstairs, and it's ball 4. So Skylar Schellmeyer will draw a walk. It'll put runners at first and second, and the very dangerous hitting Rachel Lewis comes to the plate. Lewis walked in her first at-bat, ended up at third base after she stole both second and third base. Head coach Renee Gillespie coming out to have a chat with the defense. But what they want to do here with Rachel Lewis, certainly can't give her anything to hit, good to hit. And if they can, if Denali Lecker is able to keep those pitches on the corners and especially inside, and maybe have Rachel not swing at them, get a good call from the official, it'd be a big out for the Hawks here. There's nobody out. Runners at first and second. And an All-Big Ten hitter at the plate for Northwestern and Rachel Lewis. Lewis, the number 16 hitter in the Big Ten coming into the weekend, but leads the Big Ten in home runs with 20. She hit one Friday and a 2-run home run, an opposite field home run in that 3-run first inning in game 1. Here's the first pitch from Denali Lecker, a pitch that's just off the plate. Couldn't have missed by much, so it's ball 1. It's what I'm talking about. Is Denali Lecker going to try to paint those corners against this good power hitting of Rachel Lewis? 1 ball to no strikes. Here is the 1-0 from Denali Lecker, a pitch that, again, it's down and away, and Lewis does not go for it. I mean, you could say that even walking her in this situation, not intentionally, it would be a good thing as opposed to letting her hit the ball. But, you got Jordan Rudd behind that who's capable of hitting, and Maeve Nelson behind her. So you just got to do the best you can to get around these power hitters. Here's the 2-0 down the middle, and it's on the inside part, and she doesn't get the call. So 3 balls and no strikes on Rachel Lewis. I don't know that Denali will come down the middle against Rachel. She might have the green light. Runners at first and second and nobody out. We'll see what, I don't know, she's going to hold up here. She's just going to make Denali Lecker throw a pitch, and she does, and it's ball 4. So that'll load up the bases. Back-to-back walks issued by Denali Lecker, and it'll bring up Jordan Rudd. Rudd popped up to Tristan Doster behind the plate in her last at-bat. Rudd batting .362 on the season. Coming into the game, a 1-6 at-bat statistic. Here is the first pitch to her that she hits right up the middle. It's going to score 1. It's going to score 2. And that'll put Jordan Rudd at first base. He went right up through the center, right over the top of second base. And it scored Grace Nito from third base. Skylar Schellmeyer from second. Rachel Lewis will move on to first. And the 2 RBI single by Jordan Rudd gives Northwestern a 2-0 lead, with Maeve Nelson coming to the plate. Maeve Nelson bounced one back to Denali Lecker in her first at-bat. Hit a home run in Friday's game, so she's certainly with the power. Here is the first pitch to her that's down and in. Maeve Nelson coming in with a .256 batting average. 32 hits, 126 at-bats now with 7 doubles, 1 triple, 9 home runs. Every batter in the Northwestern lineup has at least one home run except for Caldron. Here's the 1-0 that now becomes 2 balls and no strikes. Wouldn't be a bit surprised if head coach Renee Gillespie makes a move if Denali is to walk this batter or at least give up another base hit. 2 balls and no strikes on the senior shortstop, Maeve Nelson. Here is the 2-0 to her, and it's a pitch right down the middle, and she'll foul back into the backstop. And it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Nelson yesterday was 0 for 2, and on Friday she was 2 for 3. She did have the solo home run. Had 2 RBIs. She also walked once on Friday. 2 balls and 1 strike to the senior shortstop, Maeve Nelson. Here's the pitch from Denali Lecker. Pitch that's upstairs, so it's 3 balls and 1 strike. Those pitches aren't far off, but they are out of the strike zone a little bit. Northwestern doing a good job of being patient at the plate and waiting for the right hit to come along, or the right pitch to come along. Here's the 3-1, down and in, ball 4. So that'll load up the bases again. That's the 3rd walk issued in this inning by Denali Lecker. And it'll bring up Nikki Cochran, who flew out to center field in her first at-bat. And Nikki Cochran at the plate. Cochran coming in with a .370 batting average. She has 7 doubles and a couple triples and 7 home runs as the Iowa defense gets together out in the circle, encouraging Denali Lecker. So Northwestern can have a pinch runner. Sammy Stanley pinch running at second base for Jordan Rudd, that is. Here's the first pitch to Cochran. She hits it out to right field. One is going to score. Here comes another to score. And there'll be runners at the corners when play resumes. Sammy Stanley will score from second base, running for Jordan Rudd. Maeve Nelson goes from first to third. Nikki Cochran on a first pitch single. There's runners at the corners now with, again, nobody out, and 4 runs have crossed the plate for Northwestern in this bottom of the 3rd inning. So Brianna Vasquez will be in to pitch to Angela Zedek and more Northwestern batters. Brianna pitched yesterday's game in the 4-0 loss. She went 6 innings, gave up 7 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them earned. She's walked 3 batters yesterday, struck out 3 while facing 29 batters. She threw 127 pitches. So on the season, Brianna with 111 innings pitched, 135 hits, 85 runs, 73 earned, giving her a 4.60 ERA. She's walked 52 batters, struck out 88. Comes in with a 6-13 record. This is her 32nd appearance. She has started 26 games. She has thrown 6 complete games on the year. She now in for Denali Lecker here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Brianna Vasquez, she'll inherit 2 runners. Maeve Nelson at third. Nikki Cochran at first. Cochran just singled, a 2 RBI single, so the Wildcats have had two RBI singles in this at bat. As Jordan Rudd came up with 1. And now Nikki Cochran with another. They have runners at the corners and nobody out in this bottom of the 3rd inning. 4-0 lead for the Northwestern Wildcats. Ayanna Lindsay is in at first base. She started in yesterday's game. She is a freshman from Iowa City, prepping at City High School. She at first base in a pinch running role. Angela Zedek at the plate. Squares to bunt, pulls it back, and looks at ball one. Zedek grounded out to Grace Baines at third in her first at-bat. Angela comes in with a .228 batting average, 29 hits, 128 at-bats. 8 doubles, 8 home runs on the year. Here's the 0-1 that she lifts up into the air down the right field line. Will it drift foul? And it does get out of play. And Angela Zedek will come back to the right-handed batter's box with an 0-2 count on her. Brianna really pitched a nice game yesterday. She kept those Northwestern hitters off balance with a lot of good off-speed pitches. She had good movement. She's not an overpowering pitcher. I think that adds to the benefit to her. Here's a high bouncer, that is, back to Brianna Vasquez, who runs the runner back to third to Doster. Doster, she's not going to make the tag. So she couldn't make the play. She should have thrown it to third base, and Doster was trying to make the tag, but by then Maeve Nelson was too close to third and just dives to third base. So the bases will be loaded now. It was a high hopper that Brianna Vasquez got right in the circle. She was chasing Nelson. Nelson committed to home. Vasquez threw it to home, and then all of a sudden Doster got close to third base and thought maybe she could tag Nelson out at third and does not. So the fielder's choice is single. And here's one that's hit out to left center field from Hannah Cady, and it's in a left center field home run, a grand slam home run for Hannah Cady on the first pitch from Brianna Vasquez, and that opens up the floodgates on this game here today. Hannah Cady with a grand slam home run, scoring Angela Zedek from first, Ayanna Lindsay from second, and Maeve Nelson from third base. That's 8 runs here in this bottom of the third inning for the Northwestern Wildcats. The 4 of them coming here on the home run from Hannah Cady. And for Cady, it's her 8th home run of the season. She had been hitting fairly well over the weekend, 4 for 4. And so the Hawks got to keep moving forward now, trailing 8-0. And it's Lauren Calderon who bounced back to Denali Lecker in the circle in her first at-bat. Ahead of the count at 1 ball and no strikes. Here comes the pitch from Brianna Vasquez. And it's a pitch that's up and in, but Calderon will take a swing at it and miss. Calderon at 182 on the season coming in, just making her 8th start of the year. 4 hits now in 23 at-bats. Calderon is a senior from Mount Prospect, Illinois, out by O'Hare Airport, and she looks at strike 2. So it's 1 ball and 2 strikes on the senior, Lauren Calderon, working against senior Brianna Vasquez for the University of Iowa. 8-0 the lead for Northwestern. Here, the 1-2 from Brianna Vasquez, up and away, and it gets out of the reach of Tristan Doster, and so it makes it a 2-2 count. Northwestern with 8 runs in this game, in this inning, and they still have nobody out. Started with a single by Nito, the number 9 hitter, followed by a walk to Scott Schomeyer to Rachel Lewis, and then Jordan Rudd with a 2 RBI single to get things started. Here is the hit by Calderon that's down the right field line and fouled out of play. Another walk issued to Maeve Nelson, followed by a 2 RBI single by Nikki Cochran. Angela Zedek would get on a fielder's choice, keeping the bases loaded, and Hannah Cady would come in, the left-handed hitting Cady, opposite field home run, a grand slam home run to make it 8-0. Here is the pitch by Calderon, hits it right out to left field to Rowdy Moss. She started going back to begin with and recognized that it was short, so she had to change up her steps and come forward and make the catch. That is just out number 1 in this bottom of the 3rd inning, and this will be the 10th batter. And Grace Nito started things off, and now we're going to have a pinch hitter for Nito, and it is Kendall Peterson coming in to hit for Grace Nito. A junior outfielder, pinch hitting here in the bottom of the 3rd inning for Grace Nito. Kendall Peterson now making her 23rd appearance. This will be her 28th at bat. She has 6 hits. She has a .222 batting average. She does have an RBI, no doubles, triples, or home runs. She is at the plate with 1 out. Here is the first pitch to her that she'll foul on the right field line. And foul. Northwestern has exploded for 8 runs here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. 4 of them on the grand slam home run from Hannah Cady. Here's the 0-1 from Brianna Vasquez. And it's an off-speed pitch right down the middle called strike 2. Vasquez pitched in yesterday's game, throwing 6 innings, giving up 7 hits, 4 runs, 3 were earned. She walked 3, struck out 3. Her last appearance in the circle was against Iowa State. She did take the loss in the game, went 2 1/3 inning in that one. Here's one that the batter gets around on, Kendall Peterson, and she'll rip it foul out into left field. And the count remains the same at no balls and 2 strikes. So nobody on base, 1 out. And Peterson, Kendall Peterson, the number 9 hitter in the lineup, pinch hitting for Grace Nito at the plate. Here is the 0-2 that she'll foul back into the football field behind the softball stadium. Kendall Peterson is from Barrington, Illinois, suburb of Chicago. Down in the count at no balls and 2 strikes to Brianna Vasquez. Here is the pitch from Vasquez. And again, fouled. Is it down the right field line? Will it drift foul? Just hits the top of the foul fence, just beyond the Northwestern dugout. And so Peterson will remain in this at-bat with an 0-2 count on her. Brianna Vasquez has come in here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. And the Northwestern Wildcats have scored 4 runs on her. She just gave up the grand slam. Here's one that's dribbled right back to Vasquez in the circle. She'll throw it on to Kalenna Burns, and that is the 2nd out of the inning. Bottom of the 3rd. It brings up Skylar Schellmeyer, the leadoff hitter for the Northwestern Wildcats. Schellmeyer walked and scored earlier in this inning. She is 0 for 1 on the day, having grounded out on her first at-bat back in the 1st. Schellmeyer, the senior from Urbandale, Iowa. Here's the first pitch from Brianna Vasquez to her. It's outside, so it's ball 1. Schellmeyer, a .353 hitter coming into the game. 55 hits now in 157 at-bats. 8 doubles. She does have 1 home run to her credit. Ahead in the count at 1 ball and no strikes. Here's the pitch from Brianna Vasquez, called strike 1 on that outside corner. So it's 1 ball and 1 strike on the senior center fielder, Skylar Schellmeyer. Here's the 1-1 from Brianna Vasquez. And it's a bounder right to Sammy Diaz. Does a nice job to play it off the hop. Do they get her? No, not in time. It was a high hopper that Sammy Diaz played right off of that very short second hop, but she had only enough time to catch and throw. And by that time, Schellmeyer is down the first base line and beats out the throw just by a hair. What happened was Sammy couldn't get it out of her glove. She had just hesitated a little bit, and that was just enough for Schellmeyer to beat out the throw. So that'll bring up Rachel Lewis with 2 outs. Here's the first pitch to her that's down and in on her. 8 runs here in the bottom of the 3rd inning for Northwestern. They lead Iowa 8-0. With 2 outs and the number 2 hitter in the lineup, Rachel Lewis, at the plate. Working on Brianna Vasquez. Here comes the pitch from the senior. A pitch that Lewis will hit up into the air but foul back behind the backstop. And all the patrons on the football field, the practice football field, chasing after the softball to get it returned. 1 ball and 1 strike on the graduate senior. This is her 5th year. She's been a 2-time All-Big Ten performer. Leads the Big Ten in home runs with 62. With 20 on the season, she's number 4 in the history of home run hitting in Big Ten play with 62. She's ahead in the count now at 2 balls and 1 strike. Got a runner at first base. 2 outs. Here's the pitch from Brianna Vasquez. It's up and in on Rachel Lewis. 3 balls and 1 strike. Denali Lecker started for the Hawkeyes. She went through 2 innings and went through the first 4 batters of the bottom of the 3rd inning. Couldn't get anybody out. And so Brianna Vasquez has come in. And it's a 3-2 count now on Rachel Lewis. Here's the pitch from Brianna Vasquez to Rachel Lewis. And Lewis gets around on it, rips it fouled on the 3rd base line. Better get out of the way of that one. She's hit so hard, it's like a cannon shot right down the 3rd base line, just in front of the Hawkeye dugout. She really can get around and pull it. Actually, went right off of Kate Drohan. Right off of her back. She ducked out of the way. That'd do some damage. Here's the 3-2 again. One that Rachel hits just past Sophia Morris at shortstop, rounding first base and heading to 3rd, standing up. And Rachel Lewis around 1st to 2nd was Skylar Shellmeyer. So the single by Rachel Lewis extends this inning, has runners at 2nd and 3rd, and Jordan Rudd comes back to the plate. Rudd had a 2 RBI single in her first at-bat earlier in this inning as part of the 8-run bottom of the 3rd inning by the Northwestern Wildcats. And now Katie Drohan is going to make a move, perhaps. She's talking with her assistant coach down the first base, coach of the first base line. Not sure what they're going to do. Jordan Rudd looks like she might be heading back to the dugout. Haven't quite yet seen what the switch is going to be for Northwestern. Been a long inning for them here in this at-bat. And coming out to bat, it looks like to me, is going to be a player whose number I don't have. And so coming to the plate is supposed to be, so Sammy Stanley will be batting for Jordan Rudd. Now Sammy came in and pinch ran for Jordan and scored after Jordan Rudd had hit the 2 RBI single. Sammy Stanley now will be batting. She will stay in the bat. I believe that's going to end Jordan Rudd's day. So now we're at 1 ball and 1 strike on Sammy Stanley. Stanley is a senior from Del Mar, California. She's batting 200 in the year. This will be her 34th appearance. She's not started any games, has but one hit on the year in 5 at-bats. And so the 1-1 now becomes 1 ball and 2 strikes. There is a pinch runner. Oh, it's Skylar Schellmeyer. Skylar Schellmeyer is at third base running for herself. She made it there on the single by Rachel Lewis. Here is a swing and a miss by Sammy Stanley, and she'll go down on strikes. But Northwestern with a large at-bat in this bottom of the 3rd inning. They score 8 runs, 4 of them on a grand slam home run by Hannah Cady, her 2nd home run of the weekend. And they take an 8-0 lead on the Iowa Hawkeyes heading into the top of the 4th inning. When the Hawks come to the plate, it'll be Kalenna Burns returning. This is Iowa Hawkeye softball on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel from Learfield.
Have you heard about this new type of television experience from Epson? It's called the Epic Vision Ultra Laser Projection TV. It combines a new type of laser projection technology along with a unique Epson Silverflex screen to produce an epic 120-inch 4K Pro UHD picture that's up to 4 times bigger than a traditional 60-inch TV. There's no better way to watch live sports, and watching Iowa basketball play live on this big, bright TV is simply awesome. If you're a sports fanatic like me, you need to check this new Epson TV out for yourself. Visit Epson.com/TV to learn more.
Well, we're heading into the top of the 4th inning, and it was a long at-bat for Northwestern. They score 8 runs in the bottom of the 3rd to take an 8-0 lead on the Hawks. Northwestern ranked number 8 in the country. They lead the Big Ten in standings. They are at 17-2, 3 games ahead of Nebraska that is 14-4. Nebraska has lost twice to Ohio State already this weekend. Illinois in 3rd place with a 14-4 record. Illinois and Nebraska now tied for 2nd. Maryland is in 4th place at 14-5. Wisconsin at 12-6 in 5th place. Ohio State in 6th place with 11-8 record. Penn State in 7th place with an 11-9 record. Michigan's in 7th place at 10-8. Penn State in 8th with 11-9 record. Indiana 8-11. So the top really has been already determined. Northwestern will finish the year next weekend, or the regular season next weekend, at Minnesota, which will be a big weekend for them, except I believe if they win today's game that they're going to have already won the Big Ten. And I think the worst they can do would be share the Big Ten with Minnesota, depending on what happens next weekend. We're in the top of the 4th inning. Kalenna Burns at the plate. She with a 1-1 count on her. Here's the pitch from Danielle Williams, ripped to third base, picked right up by Hannah Cady across the diamond, and first out of the Hawks' top of the 4th inning. Sophia Morris now at the plate for Iowa, the junior shortstop out of Johnston. She started her collegiate career at Des Moines Area Community College. Has been playing shortstop. It's the 11th straight game that she started at shortstop, starting back in the 2nd game of the Nebraska doubleheader. Other than that, she had been playing second base most of the season. She's got a hit in each of the first 2 games to this weekend. Here's one that she hit right up the center. Maeve Nelson tries to make the play at short. She mishandles it, so she will be credited with an error, I'm assuming. We'll get the official scorer's judgment on it here shortly. Maeve was to her left, had it played nicely, and went to pick it up and just bobbled it. And that allowed Sophia Morris then to get to first base. I'll bring up Sammy Diaz. Diaz, a sophomore out of Cypress, California, in the L.A. area. Takes the first pitch, swings at it, and misses. No balls and 1 strike. This is the top of the 4th inning. Northwestern leading Iowa 8-0. Hawks at the plate. Sophia Morris on first base with 1 out. Here's the 0-1 to Sammy Diaz just inside. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Sammy didn't get a hit in yesterday's game, was 1 for 3 on Friday. She also walked on Friday and struck out in Friday's game, the 9-5 loss to Northwestern. Here is the 1-1 from Danielle Williams. Down and away, but Sammy goes after it and will bound it foul down the third base line. So she's down on the count of the ball and 2 strikes. Sammy played last year in 26, started 26 of the 33 games that she played, almost exclusively at third base, all of them at third base when she started. And here's an appeal down to the first base line and to no avail, so it's 2 balls and 2 strikes on the sophomore from Cypress, California, which is in southeastern LA. Here's the 2-2 from Danielle Williams. Off the plate, just off the plate. 3 balls and 2 strikes. So a full count on the sophomore second baseman, Sammy Diaz. She really has been playing a nice second base. I thought she played fairly well at third base last year, too. Here is the 3-2 that she'll bounce foul on the third base line again. I'm not really sure what her natural position is, and maybe it's just anywhere in the infield. But it's a 2-2 count on her. She's getting around on these pitches and putting the bat on it. See if she can't drive one into a gap here. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Runner at first base in Sophia Morris. 1 out. Top of the 4th inning. Here's the pitch from Danielle Williams, one that Sammy will get around on and foul it back into the backstop. So the count remains the same at 3 balls and 2 strikes. (3-2) on the sophomore, second baseman for the Hawks, Sammy Diaz. Here's the pitch from Williams, a pitch that she hits right back up through the center, but to second base, touches second and doubles up Sammy running down the line. That couldn't have been any better played by Northwestern's second baseman out there in Grace Nito. She was going to her right, just picked it up, had 1 step to make to get to second base, and she does so to end the Hawks here in the top of the 4th inning. Eight to nothing the lead for Northwestern as we head into the bottom of the 4th inning. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye Softball on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel from Learfield.
Anything can happen when the Cyclones and Hawkeyes come to compete. It's where the rubber meets the road. Neighbors become rivals and friends become foes. Some go home brokenhearted, while others are victorious. When the dust finally settles, one thing stands true. No matter which side you're on, you're part of tradition. For those who are Iowan through and through, we're Iowa Corn, a proud sponsor of the Iowa Corn Cy-Hawk Series. In Iowa, we grow corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa.
Iowa Hawkeye baseball today playing in a doubleheader. That game is in action as we speak. They didn't get yesterday's game in because of the rain, so they moved it as part of a doubleheader today. The first game at noon, the second game somewhere around 3:30. They'll have the Hawks, though, are playing very well. They've won 9 of their last 10 games. They're in third place in the Big Ten with a 9-4 record. Rutgers in first at 13-3, Maryland at second at 10-3. And remember, Iowa went to Rutgers last weekend and took 2 of 3 games from the Scarlet Knights. So this is a good Iowa baseball team that's at it again. They beat Nebraska on Friday 1-0 and moved yesterday's game to today as part of a doubleheader. That game is in action as I talk to you with this Iowa Hawkeye softball broadcast. Maeve Nelson steps to the batter's box, and she'll foul the first pitch back from Brianna Vasquez. The end of the backstop, so she's down on the count at no balls and 1 strike. Nelson in her first at-bat today grounded back to Denali Lecker, and she walked and scored as part of that 8-run bottom of the 3rd inning. And here's a pitch that's hit foul on the third base line, just out of the reach of Grace Baines. So an 0-2 count on Maeve Nelson, leadoff batter in the bottom of the fourth inning. Here's a pitch that's upstairs, so it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. One ball and 2 strikes on Maeve Nelson, the senior shortstop, batting .256 coming into the game. Here's the pitch from Brianna Vasquez. Nelson gets around on and will foul it back into the backstop. Here's an update now for you in Iowa baseball. In game number 1 of the doubleheader today, Nebraska 11, Iowa 1. This game is in the bottom of the third inning, and Nebraska is still batting. They've scored 5 runs in the bottom of the third inning. They have the bases loaded. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Maeve Nelson. Here's the pitch from Brianna Vasquez, one that Nelson will hit out to right field, and it goes over the top of Nia Carter. She turns, rounds first base, and will slide into second, almost on top of second base. Those are slides that you almost can get hurt. She drilled that one over the top of Nia Carter out in right field, and she'll be credited with a double, a leadoff double for this bottom of the fourth inning by Maeve Nelson. Nelson coming into the game today, on the weekend had already been 2 for 5. Now 2 for 6, now make it 3 for 7. And it's a leadoff double in the bottom of the fourth inning. Nikki Cochran at the plate, 2 RBI single in her last at-bat. Here is the first pitch to her that's right down the middle, called strike 1. Cochran is 1 for 2 on the day, 2 for 7 coming into the game, so she's 3 of 9 in the series for the 8th-ranked Northwestern Wildcats. 8-0 lead for Northwestern, bottom of the fourth inning. Here is the 0-1 that now becomes 1 ball and 1 strike. Nobody out. Runner at second base, leadoff double by Maeve Nelson. Here's the pitch from Brianna Vasquez to Cochran. She'll lift it down the left field line and foul out of play. Nebraska now leads Iowa in baseball 12-1. That game's still in the bottom of the third inning and 2 outs. Nebraska has scored 6 runs in this bottom of the third inning and are still at the plate with the bases loaded. Runner at second for Northwestern. 1-2 count on Nikki Cochran. Working against Brianna Vasquez. Here is the pitch from Vasquez, one that is lifted down the left field line and fouled again. So the count remains the same at 1 ball and 2 strikes. To Nikki Cochran, a senior out of Downers Grove, Illinois. Here is the pitch from Brianna Vasquez. And one again that's fouled down the left field line and out of play. So the count remains the same at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Cochran, a tough at-bat here in this particular at-bat. She got on in their last at-bat, a 2 RBI single, then was pinch run for by Anna Lindsay, who would go on and score. Here's one that is fouled again. This one into the backstop. So the count remains the same at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Nobody out in Northwestern's bottom of the fourth inning. Maeve Nelson started it off with a double. She at second base. And Nikki Cochran, the number 5 hitter in the lineup, at the plate with a 1-2 count on her. Facing Brianna Vasquez, the graduate senior transfer from Central Florida. In the circle for the Hawks. Here is the pitch, and it's upstairs. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Tristan Doster behind the plate, the freshman out of Fort Dodge. Third base is Grace Baines, sophomore out of Kansas City, Kansas. Junior Sophia Morris at shortstop out of Johnston via Des Moines Area Community College. Sammy Diaz, a sophomore at second base, and Kalenna Burns, a first baseman, junior. Here's the 2-2 to Cochran. She'll lift it foul again back into the backstop. Riley Moss is out in left field, the freshman out of Muscatine, getting her second start of the season. Riley Klosterman, the sophomore from North Liberty, in center field, and junior Nia Carter in right field. Not a senior among them except for in the circle. That is Brianna Vasquez. Here's the 2-2 from Brianna to Cochran. She lifts it up to left center field, and Roddy Moss's back will make the catch. And on to third base. Nice strike, nice throw by Roddy Moss right directly to Grace Baines at third base, not allowing Maeve Nelson to advance from second. That was a deep pop fly out into left center field for the first out. That brings up Angela Zedek. Zedek got on a fielder's choice against Brianna Vasquez in her first at-bat and their last at-bat in the third inning, and she would eventually score. She was part of that grand slam home run that was hit by Hannah Cady, who will be up next. One out. Here is the first pitch to Angela Zedek. Zedek on the weekend, 3 for 7 coming in. She's now 3 out of 9. She has a 2-run home run to her credit on the weekend. 1-0 the count. Here's the pitch from Brianna Vasquez, down and low from Vasquez. So it's 2 balls and no strikes. Still in the bottom of the third inning is Nebraska. Bases are loaded, leading this Iowa baseball team 12-1. There are 2 outs. They've scored 6 runs in the bottom of this third inning. Here is the 2-0 from Brianna Vasquez, one that is just inside. Not getting any love from that umpire. That looked pretty good from here. So 3 balls and no strikes to Angela Zedek with a teammate at second base in Maeve Nelson. Here are the 3-0 from Brianna Vasquez. One that's up and away. It's ball 4. So Zedek draws a 1-out walk. That'll put runners at first and second and bring up Hannah Cady. Cady, the left-handed hitting third baseman, the sophomore, hit a grand slam home run in her second at-bat. She reached on an error in her first at-bat and was stranded there, and she came up again in the bottom of the third inning with the bases loaded and popped a grand slam home run. The first of her career, and she's at the plate here with runners at first and second. 1 out, Northwestern's bottom of the fourth inning. And now some changes are going to be made. Devin Greer will come in to pitch to Hannah Cady. Haven't seen Greer for a few games. Devon, freshman from Huntington Beach, California, making an appearance here today. We'll see how long she can go. Her last appearance was at Illinois in the first game when she threw 1 inning. Gave up 4 hits, 2 runs. Both were earned. She walked 1 in that outing. Did not start it, did not figure in the decision. She has started 6 games on the season. Her last start was a game against Ohio State, where she lasted all of a third of an inning. So the numbers on Devin Greer, this is her 21st appearance in the circle. She's thrown 48 innings, given up 64 hits, 51 runs, 48 of them earned, thus a 7.00 ERA. 29 batters base on balls, and 22 strikeouts as Greer allowed. She has a 3-5 record coming into this at-bat in the bottom of the fourth inning with 1 out in Northwestern's at-bat. So Greer will be facing the number 7 hitter, Hannah Cady, again, who hit a grand slam home run in her last at-bat. Cady with a .290 batting average, 39 hits in 133 at-bats. Here's the first pitch from Greer's down and in. Hits in 133 at-bats, 6 doubles, a triple, and 8 home runs for Cady. Teammates at first and second, one out. Here's the pitch from Greer, one that she gets around on, will foul it down the left field line. Well, that bottom of the third inning ended for Nebraska. They scored 6 times and have a 12-1 lead on the Iowa baseball team as the Hawks come to the plate in the top of the fourth inning. 1-1 count on Hannah Cady, sophomore third baseman out of Clarkston, Michigan. Here's one that she'll foul again down the third base line and out of play. So 1 ball and 2 strikes. After today, the Hawks will head to Cedar Falls on Wednesday for a 5 o'clock game against a good Northern Iowa Panther softball team, and the Hawks then will return home next weekend for the Big Ten regular season finale to host Purdue. Here's the 1-2 that's down and in, blocked by Tristan Doster. So 2 balls and 2 strikes. And as I had mentioned earlier in this broadcast, Purdue is one of the teams that Iowa is battling with for that number 12 seed in the Big Ten tournament, as only the top 12 teams will go to the tournament. Iowa currently the 14th team, Purdue the number 12 spot. Here's the 2-2 that Cady will lift up into the infield. Sammy Diaz will call everybody off and take the pop out at second base, so that's out number 2. Lauren Caldron, the scheduled hitter for the Northwestern Wildcats, we'll see if she, in fact, is the next hitter. And it is Lauren Caldron, senior designated player today. Caldron has flown out to left field and bounced back to Denali Lecker in the circle in her 2 at-bats. Looks at a pitch that's called strike 1. No balls and 1 strike. Here is the 0-1 from Devin Greer, pitch that's on the corner. And a swing and a miss by Caldron, so she's down to the count at no balls and 2 strikes. It's 8-0 Northwestern with the lead, bottom of the fourth inning. Northwestern scored all 8 of those runs in the bottom of the third inning. Have runners at first and second with 2 outs, and Lauren Caldron at the plate. Here's a pitch that's upstairs, so 1 ball and 2 strikes. Hawks in their black uniforms, the gold lettering and numerals, and the white pant. Northwestern in all white today. They were in all purple yesterday. Here's the 1-2 from Devin Greer, and it's a pitch that's off the plate, so 2 balls and 2 strikes. So here's the 2-2 from Devin Greer to Lauren Caldron. Pitch off speed, and it does not cross the plate. Boy, that thing went in slowly, and I could tell that Devin Greer was walking off out of the circle towards the dugout thinking she was going to get that call, and she does not. So that makes it a full count now, and Lauren Caldron, with runners at first and second and 2 outs, see if Devin Greer can get her to bounce out or strike out here on this pitch. Here's the pitch, 3-2, and it's a rip down the third base left field line and foul. So she'll come back to the batter's box. Maeve Nelson will head back to second base. Lauren Calderon, the number 8 hitter in the lineup for Northwestern. Working against the freshman Devin Greer. Here comes the pitch from Greer. And it's an off-speed pitch to the left of Sophia Morris. Rounding second, coming home with an easy score is Maeve Nelson to make it 9-0. And a single for Lauren Calderon. That moves Angela Zedek to second base. And the RBI single for Lauren Calderon. That gives her 7th run batted in on the season. So that'll bring up Grace Nido. She will hit now. She had been pinch hit for by Kendall Peterson in her last at-bat twice, and now Grace Nito will bat, the freshman batting .299. She singled in her first at-bat and stole second and would score. Here is the first pitch from Devin Greer to Nito, and it's called strike one on the outside part of the plate. Iowa baseball got nothing in the top of the fourth inning, so Nebraska back at the bottom, at the plate in the bottom of the fourth, leading their game in baseball 12-1. Here is the 0-1 to Nito upstairs. 1 ball and 1 strike. 9 hits for Nebraska. Here's the 1-1 from Devin Greer to Grace Nito. She gets around on and will foul it down the left field line. So Nebraska has hit 4 home runs, 5 home runs against the Hawkeyes in the first 3 innings. Here is the 1-2 that's now 2 balls and 2 strikes. So 2-2 on Grace Nito, the number 9 hitter in the lineup. We get back to Shellmeyer. If Nito's able to get on or do anything with this one, the pitch that's down low that she gets around on and will foul it down the first base right field line. So 2 balls and 2 strikes remain. Runners at first and second. Lauren Caldron at first and Angela Zedek at second. Here's the 2-2 from Devin Greer. It's down and in, gets away from Tristan Doster. The runners will move up to second and third. That puts Zedek on to third and Lauren Calderon on to second base. And I'm thinking that if Northwestern scores here again in this bottom of the fourth inning, that might end the ball game. 9-0, they lead, runners at second and third and 2 outs. 3-2 count on Grace Nito. Here's the pitch. Called, strike 3 in the outside corner. Nice spot by Devin Greer. Well, that will end the bleeding here in this bottom of the fourth inning. But Northwestern has a 9-0 lead as we head into the top of the fifth inning. And Grace Baines will start it off for the Hawks when play resumes. This is Iowa Hawkeye Softball on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel from Learfield.
Looking for a place to go before and after Hawkeye home games? Make a night of it at Graduate Iowa City Hotel. Take advantage of our in-house Topgolf Swing Suite for a full bar and a menu of American classics, and most importantly, a selection of exciting virtual games from favorites like golf, football, and baseball to more unique options like zombie dodgeball. Call 319-337-4058 for details and reservations at Graduate Iowa City Hotel.
Iowa City Tire and Service is a proud supporter of Hawkeye Softball. Find them at 410 Kirkwood Avenue or online at ictire.com. Iowa City Tire, where service actually comes first. Longtime supporters of University of Iowa Hawkeye Athletics and a very long-time hometown business in Iowa City is Iowa City Tire. Happy to talk to new owner Andy Miller on Friday, and as Iowa City Tire sponsoring the broadcast on AM 800 KXIC next Sunday against Purdue and sponsoring Iowa softball as well. Again, longtime Iowa Hawkeye supporters is Iowa City Tire. So we head into the top of the fifth inning. The Hawks got a mountain to climb here. They're down 9-0 and have Grace Baines at the plate to begin it all. Make a long inning out of this one. Hawks are still trying to vie for that number 12 seed in the Big Ten Conference Tournament. Baines in her first at-bat today walked and ended up at second base. Here is the 1-0 that she rips right over the top of Katie at third base, and Grace Baines is on with a line drive single to left field. And that is the second hit of the weekend for Grace. And with nobody out, well, that was a nice line drive shot. Katie just hopped to her left. She was trying to play the hop. Well, that was a shot. That's why they call that the hot corner. Tristan Doster at the plate for the Hawks. Hasn't played since the Iowa State game. She catching today. She singled in her first at-bat on the very first pitch. And is down on the count now at no balls and 2 strikes. Doster, .267 hitter, 25 hits and 91 at-bats. Now down on the count at no balls and 2 strikes with teammate Grace Baines on at first. Here is the 0-2 that gets away from Jordan Rudd behind the plate. That allows Grace Baines to advance to second base. With nobody out, my guess is they're going to give that a wild pitch effort considering it bounced before it got to the catcher's glove. And now 1 ball and 2 strikes on Tristan Doster, freshman catcher from Fort Dodge. Played in 26, started 26 of the 30 games that she has played. And I believe that some substitutions are going to be made here. I haven't quite discovered what they are just yet. Doster at the plate. And so Tristan Doster strikes out. That's the 6th strikeout of the game for Danielle Williams. Emma Henderson now will come in and bat for Riley Moss. Emma batted yesterday. Now let's be on the safe side here. Here is the 0-1 that becomes no balls and 2 strikes. Yeah, Emma pinch hit and struck out.
In Iowa, we grow corn.
She pinch hit in the first game. She came in a pinch hit for Riley Moss and proceeded to strike out in that at-bat. Didn't play yesterday. Here she swings and misses. And that's the 7th strikeout of the game for Danielle Williams. And that brings up the top of the order and Briley Klosterman. So 2 outs in Iowa's top of the 5th inning in a 9-0 lead for Northwestern. Here is the pitch to Briley Klosterman off the plate, so it's ball 1. Danielle Williams been in the circle the entire game today. She pitched all 7 innings on Friday, scattering 4 hits. Actually, she went 5 1/3 innings on Friday. 5 hits, gave up 4 runs. Only 1 of them was earned. Behind in the count now, 2 balls and no strikes on Briley Klosterman, the left-handed leadoff hitter for the Hawks. Here's the pitch from Williams, and it's one that's upstairs. So 3 balls and no strikes. Briley walked in her last at-bat, and she grounded out to first base in her first at-bat. 0 for 1 on the day. She was forced at second after she got on first base in her last at-bat. Here is the 3-0 that now becomes 3 balls and 1 strike. Didn't have a hit yesterday, but walked and struck out. Had a hit on Friday, also walked and also struck out on Friday. She scored one of the 5 runs the Hawks had in that Friday game. Here's the 3-1 from Danielle Williams, a pitch that she lifts right up. Oh, and a line drive catch at second base. Timing was perfect for that line drive catch by Grace Nito. And that will end this softball game. 9-0 the win for Northwestern. They score 8 times in the bottom of the 3rd and 1 more time in the bottom of the 4th inning. and they beat up on the Iowa Hawkeyes all weekend long and win this game 9-0. They win the series 3-0. That will move the Iowa Hawkeye record to 2-18 in the Big Ten. Iowa needing to sweep Purdue next weekend for any shot at getting into the Big Ten Conference Tournament. Nebraska goes to 18-2, and I believe they're going to win now with only 3 games left. Even at Minnesota, no matter what happens, they are going to win the Big Ten this year, the 2022 softball season. What a look good for the Hawks to begin the game. Got a couple runners on, had 1 runner on in the first inning, 2 on in the second at bat, whereas Northwestern would not do anything in their first 2 at bats, and then they explode for 8 in the bottom of the third inning. The first 4 runs came on a grand slam home run by Hannah Cady. Then they would score 4 more times and take an 8-0 lead. They put a couple runners on in the bottom, 2 more runners on in the bottom of the third inning. And then in the bottom of the fourth inning, they would get another run on a double from Maeve Nelson, who would score on a RBI single from Lauren Caldron and win this game 9-0. Next up for Iowa will be a road trip to Northern Iowa in Cedar Falls on Wednesday. That'll be a 5 o'clock start. I'll have that game for you right here on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel. I'll be on the air a little bit before the hour of 5 o'clock for that one. And then Iowa at home next weekend to host the Purdue Boilermakers, a 5 o'clock game on Friday right here on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel. I'm Jerry Koala. Northwestern wins at 9-0 today, 4-0 yesterday, 9-5 on Friday to sweep the series against the Iowa Hawkeyes. Thank you for tuning in all weekend long. We'll talk to you again Wednesday afternoon, a little bit before the hour of 5 o'clock for the Northern Iowa in-state battle. Have yourself a great rest of the weekend, the first couple days of this next week.